The reason I came here is that someone said it's really a beautiful library. Well, it's more than a beautiful library. It is a masterpiece. So bravo to you and the community who support it and make this place possible. My journey with this book began several years ago by accident. I was sitting next to a lovely woman in the Santa Barbara Art Museum waiting for a lecture to begin. And she was a very interesting, striking woman, and we were having a wonderful conversation. And she said to me that she taught memoir writing to a group of women every Thursday morning, and would I like to come and be part of that group? I don't know why I said yes. Why do you say yes to things in life? You know, you could go down the one road or another road, but I said I'd like to give that a try. I'd been writing and producing for television for 10 years. I thought of this as a new chapter in my life, but like maybe you've experienced, where you begin to wonder, what are the, who am I? What are the roots of my family? What is my heritage all about? Where did I come from? What do I remember about my childhood? It's a kind of putting together the puzzle so you see the full picture. I began to write down little vignettes and memories, and I took my writings into this group of women, and my goodness, they laughed and they cried, and that was very encouraging. And so I just kept piling up my stories. But somewhere along the way, I realized that it wasn't my story I wanted to tell, although that is part of the book. I wanted to tell the story of my parents. My father was an important screenwriter in Hollywood in the 1930s. I don't know if you like old movies, but maybe you know It Happened One Night, Mr. Deeds Goes to Town, Lost Horizon.
We'll be showing here in this room on March 29th.
Are you going to show It Happened One Night?
In this room.
It still plays beautifully. Lost Horizon, You Can't Take It With You, Lady for a Day, these were all the classics. Wonderful romantic comedies. In fact, he was really the architect of the romantic comedies of the 1930s. My mother is Fay Wray of King Kong fame. If anyone hasn't seen King Kong, I'd be really surprised. But the truth is she made over 120 movies. In one 2-year period, 1933 to 1934, she made 21 films, almost one a month. So as I began to explore, I realized that they both had extraordinary careers, each coming from modest beginnings. Hollywood in the golden era of movies, the Depression, the labor wars, the power of the studio system, the glamorous parties and nightclubs, the watchful eyes of the press, the political battles, the government fear of communism in Hollywood, my parents' extraordinary friends and careers before they met, the fascinating making of King Kong and my mother's other movies, my father's remarkable films that made Columbia Pictures successful, his relationship with a talented writer, and then with actress Glenda Farrell and Carole Lombard, and my mother's first troubled marriage with a brilliant writer, his kidnapping of my sister, her romance with Clifford Odets, all before they found each other. I dove into old newspaper accounts and letters and files. I have the letters my father wrote my mother when they were dating and after they married. A treasure trove, over 100. And I realized how deep was their love. Reading my father's letters was hard and emotional for me. His warmth, his marvelous insights, his love for my mother. But soon I could see them together again, dancing and laughing and telling stories and going out for dinner and spending hours with their children. And I understood the values that drove them, including my father's remarkable filmmaking during World War II to tell the story of America to people who had been living under fascism overseas. I have written this book to understand my parents, their places in film history, accurately and faithfully, and to know them as people. Thank you. How are you? Okay, I think I'll take a couple of questions and then maybe we might have a clip or two, but you know, I think I've talked enough. So there. Yes, sir.
Read somewhere that when your mom first came to Hollywood, she appeared in comedies for Hal Roach. Who are some of the performers that
Do you,
played with?
are you an old-time movie buff from the silent days? So Charlie Chase was usually her, I don't want to say adversary, her counterpart. Who said counterpart? 2 points. She went to Hal Roach after she'd done a little comedy film for Century Players, they were called. Then she went by herself to the head of production at Hal Roach Studios and said, I've been in these couple of movies and could I work here? And he said, well, I'll give you a 6-month contract. So I think they were mostly with Charlie Chase. You know, the tragic thing about silent movies, and you probably know this, is that most of them are gone. They were thrown away to make room on shelves for other movies. Now there are people who are finding as many as they possibly can to bring them back. So she was there for 6 months, and then she went to Universal to do mostly silent westerns when Carl Laemmle, the famous Carl Laemmle, was running Universal. And by that time, she was the entire support for her family.